I came of age as a photographer during the environmental movement. So my initial thoughts were I was studying anthropology, I was really politically active, and I would go out with my camera and try to photograph like the destruction of the forests and old, because I was living near old growth forests, and so like the clear cuts. And I found that to be, well, of course, incredibly depressing. So trying to find a way to be an activist at the same time to practice my interest, I guess, in like visual culture. For instance, in the kind of format I work in, I mean, I'll work with digital, video, other things, but I really love working with the 4x5 because of the sense of time and the way things slow down and the way that you're kind of really forced to be on site and engage with that space and can make all those considerations. Also then, like the atmosphere, the light, what the moon cycles in, what the tides are at, like all those things come into play when I'm shooting or when I'm going out, so that there's so that in a way also becomes kind of a type of methodology, maybe systematically. And I think the ritual aspect as well. So for instance, those traditions, say from Hatsubo and putting the boat out to sea, that's a tradition, and the materials that I'm using, like cutting bamboo and steaming it and bending it and lashing it and using kozo paper, which is a really traditional paper, that's sent to sea, which is a photograph, so it's a work of art, but it's also a cultural tradition in which my mother and my sister are participating. And so those things become, and the material choices that the objects made with are crucial decisions in the making process for me. So that in a way is a story in itself could kind of sum up those ideas about place, right? It's in the shores of Hawaii when it's at dawn, the first light of Obon, which is the ceremony for the deceased, using traditional materials, doing a cultural ritual, if you will, setting up the camera though, and creating something between a performance, a work of art, and a ritual. I pulled a bag of cyanotype paper out of my backpack. I would make my first imprint of this walk here, on the road, not of leaves or stones, but of death. A metaphor for the thoughts filling my mind. Perhaps the squirrel, too, should have remained still. But, like myself, that is against its nature. I placed a sheet under its paw. Then I placed another under its tail, where it curved elegantly along the edge. I stepped back, looking, and thinking where to place the third one. I always prefer things in threes. So most recently, thinking about my experience out in the land and the movement of the body across space, I've really turned the camera towards my own body and started to almost document it in a systematic way, thinking about, right, the limbs, the veins, the shapes, the folds. And I'm really currently in this moment motivated by the place I'm at in my life. I guess I'm going to call it the middle. It's almost a little bit like looking at myself is a bit scientific. So in my own documentation of myself is like really putting yourself under the microscope. So shooting with the 8x10 camera, showing the parts that you maybe would prefer to hide. So here we go, hide and reveal. Here's the parts I'm going to hide. Oh no, now I'm going to reveal it in front of an 8x10 camera with a bright light, as if you were essentially on the operating table. Why are you doing it, right? So that you can share it with the world. And so I think that the question of audience becomes really complicated, because maybe I want to show people something they haven't seen before. Maybe I want to hope to motivate them to think about something in a different way, or maybe I just want them to maybe get a little closer to their own discovery of who they are and what their place is in this world. That's a huge, lofty goal to reach, but I don't really know why else I would make the work.